Well, it appears that we're officially cycled. I keep testing, and my ammonia keeps showing up as 0. No nitrites or nitrates that I can see. And everything looks good in here. The temperature's stable, the salinity's stable right where I want it. I did a water change the other day. This is only a 20-gallon tank. I pulled about 3 gallons out, put 3 gallons of freshly mixed salt water with my reef crystal salt. And I went in here and I've been feeding it, like blind feeding it, even though there's no fish in here, just to start the cycle. And I took the filter out of the bottom here. I just have some filter floss underneath the media bag and the thick sponge. And I just rinsed that out in the aquarium water in the bucket from the change. I gotta admit, I really like this 20-gallon because it was 1 bucket to do a water change. It was really cool, just a 5-gallon bucket, and I have some glass jars down here to help me mix things up. But yeah, just a 20-gallon high, and it's easy. My 75-gallon reef tank I had years ago before we moved, it was cool, and I like it. I like the size of what you can put in it, but for time and for ease of maintenance, this is really nice. My goals are to add 2 clownfish here in about another month or so, just to make sure that anything that was in this rock is completely died off and cycled out. And I'm going to keep blind feeding it every other day or so, just to keep the cycle going, and just making sure my wave maker still works. All my equipment looks good, because I want to start off with 2 regular clownfish, just Ocellaris or Perculas or whatever. I would like to have a maroon clownfish, but they can do some nasty things in an aquarium, and this is only 20-gallon. So 2 clowns, probably a dotty back and a goby or a lawnmower blenny, and that's it. Because ultimately I want to put some corals in here. I am going to get a hunk of live rock when I put the clowns in. Hopefully there's some coralline algae on it, but I'm going to put it here in this void in this area. And then eventually that's where I'm going to put my first coral, which will be something like zoas or GSPs, something that I can put on an island so it doesn't take over everything, because I do want to have some other things eventually, like an anemone that might set up shop somewhere around here. Hopefully, I know they can move. And then I would like to have some kind of hammer, frog spawn, bubble tip, an LPS. I really like those. I like the movement. And then ultimately in the back here, in this back corner, I want to put a leather, just something that can grow and fill up that space if it wants to. But ultimately I want a mixture of things. No SPS probably, just because of the extra maintenance involved. Again, like I said, with the 1 bucket water change, I like how easy this is so far. I don't have a sump, I don't have a pro team skimmer, and I'm just going to try to keep this simple and fun. And as the hobby grows for me, maybe I will get back up to a 75 or bigger. I mean, right now the biggest I would want to go is 120, but again, that's going to be down the road, and once I'm really comfortable with this. Last time I had a reef tank was years ago, and the mistake I always made was going too fast on everything. I kept adding livestock, corals. I didn't have a refractometer, I just had a hydrometer for my water changes. I used RODI water, but I used 2-part B-ionic to dose, but I just didn't take time and make sure it was right. Now that I'm older and wiser, I'm going slower, and I want this to be smooth, and I'm going to let things catch up before I add more things. And that's the concept of even like building a bonfire. You're supposed to add fuel to it, and when the flames catch up and get higher than the fuel, then you can add some more. If you just throw a bunch of brush on something and right after you lit it, you might put it out. Biology and the way things are designed, it'll catch up, but you got to give it time to do its job and do its job naturally. So my goal is to go slow and let the livestock tell me when we can add some more. And I'll just do that by testing water changes. And down the road, when I start adding corals, if I need to dose, I'll start dosing. But with a 20-gallon, I'll just do it by hand. The only thing I might add to automate this is just an auto top-off. And that's in case I go on a trip for longer than a week, really. Or if I have corals that are more demanding. But for what I plan on putting in here, it should be fine with what I've got, as long as I keep up with my maintenance. So I'm excited about this. And like I said, maybe about a month or so, I'll add my first clownfish, and I'll just keep archiving my progression so I can look back on this and see where I came from, what I did, and then over time as I upgrade, we'll see how things go. But really glad I'm back in the hobby.